Good morning, everybody. This is episode 4 of the podcast. We are discussing esports today. We have a special guest, Aero Fades, with us. He's esports manager. We will be discussing esports. I want to give a rundown real quick. Exactly what esports are. A lot of people aren't sure what esports are, so they are basically a electronic sports, kind of like basketball, football, whatnot, and they compete in tournaments, and they are very highly competitive, and they definitely are huge. So by 2021, which is what we're in, so by the end of the year 2021, the esports gaming revenue will soar to $3.5 billion. So it is huge. Going on, it's a huge community right now, and it's likely to double that in the next few years. The one thing about esports, though, is that it is not highly recognized as a sport in most of the sports community, and they are not as highly looked at. So we're going to be discussing esports, obviously, in this topic. We're going to, talk about that with Aero Fades. We're also going to be discussing, why we feel that maybe esports are not looked at as a regular sport, and will it in the future, and how that's going to work, and what that is going to do for us. So that being said, I see Fades there is getting ready. Uh, got his G Fuel going on, I guess. I got my glitch. You have your G Fuel, so
Got that cotton candy flavor, yes
cotton
sir.
candy. Yeah, I have magic, magic, magic something. It's like, it tastes like Lucky Charms marshmallows.
Okay, okay.
It's from Glitch. It is really good.
I heard about Glitch. I mean, a lot of people have been saying that they're like a good supplement company.
Mm.
I don't know though. I haven't really. Yeah, they haven't convinced me yet.
I mean,
Uh,
I'm like a mix. Like, I will go from G Fuel to Glitch. Like, I buy G Fuel in the cans at the gas station. Sonic Rings is my favorite. The peach rings, that is like my all
it,
time favorite.
that's what's up. So yeah,
So I'm gonna give you the floor, Fades. You're gonna introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and what is your role in the esports community.
yeah. So what's up, everybody? My name is Fades. I've been in the esports community since probably around Call of Duty Ghost. I can play competitive Call of Duty from Ghost to IW, and then I took a year off, and then I switched over to Counter Strike, competitive Counter Strike. Played that for a year. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out for me. Counter Strike is a lot harder in the esports side of things, like actually competitive. It's a lot harder than a lot of people think it is. I joined Aero, I believe, early of May. We are esports and entertainment industry, looking to be probably one of the best and one of the biggest organizations. So I'm the Counter Strike esports manager for them. I run their Counter Strike team. I make sure everything is fine over there, like their leagues, tournaments, practices. That's solely my job. If there's like a roster dispute, I hang out. I go see what's up, and I try to reconcile with it. I'm from North Carolina, uh, born and raised here, but I'm looking to move probably to like Texas or Arizona, somewhere around there. I don't know.
Texas or
But
Arizona?
Texas or Arizona, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, San Antonio, Texas, or like Scottsdale, Arizona.
Is there a
Those are
reason, or
Scottsdale, no, I just like the desert, really. Um, but San Antonio, taxes, and you get better housing for your buck there.
oh,
So
okay.
just like adult stuff, if I'm being honest with
No,
you.
that makes sense. That makes sense. So
Yeah,
last
so
week I started. Don't mean to interrupt you, but last week we
what
started with a would you rather.
would you
Um,
rather?
would you rather? So I'm gonna ask you a would you rather question. Um, would you rather be stuck on a broken ski lift or a broken elevator?
Ski lift.
Okay,
You can jump.
this is true.
You
This
can
is
jump.
true. See, I was thinking
And
broken elevator because you couldn't see how far you were up.
I mean, that's the thing though. I mean, but here's the thing: if you're on a ski lift, that means you're skiing, and if you're skiing, that means you need snow. Which means if you're on a lift, no matter how high you are, there's gonna be snow underneath you, which is gonna stop your fall. Or it's gonna at least
Okay.
help make it less painful.
True.
So I go ski lift,
Okay.
hands down.
All right, that's a good one. I like that one. So I don't know anything about esports. So you are the subject matter expert, I guess is what you want to call it. With
Oh,
esports. Yeah, you are the expert here. Um, you know, why do you think that esports aren't as recognized as a regular sport as like football or basketball?
Um, so if you asked me this probably like 3 years ago, my biggest answer would be money. But I don't see that as a reason anymore just because, in 2021, the esports industry is projected to make over $1 billion in revenue. That's 14% than last year's revenue in 2020. It estimated probably around $947 million last year. That's like with everything: Counter Strike, Dota, League of Legends, COD, Overwatch, Valorant. That's with everything. So it's not money anymore, just because esports has money,
Right.
and especially with all like game developers, even like the Call of Duty League. Like I don't know if you know about the Call of Duty League, but you need to get a franchise. But it's a franchise. It's just like the NFL. You have to buy a franchise spot to join,
True.
and you need, well, I think like $25 million to even play in the COD League.
Mhm.
It just, I think it's a
That's
little too much.
crazy. That's
Like,
crazy.
it's nuts.
Who has
Sorry.
$25 million laying around?
Hex, Optic Hex,
Yeah.
Nate Shot. They got the money.
Oh, I know.
They
Yeah,
got,
yeah. You're right. They have the money. Yeah.
yeah. So honestly, I would say, because it's so new still. Just because it's so new, and that everyone nowadays growing up only see video games as like just a hobby. Like
Right.
especially, it's like, I want imagine, what is the main demographic that really watches TV and really watches sports? I would say probably 30 30-year olds to 50-year olds. I would say
Mhm.
or maybe even like 70, just because like they're retired and they don't really have anything else. I would say those are the main people that are watching television. Now, what is on television? Traditional sports or esports? Traditional sports,
Right.
football, basketball, baseball. So it's being more consumed by the older generation. Now, that older generation, they didn't really grow up with the video games like how my generation and your generation is really growing up. Like,
Mhm.
I would say it's still new, and it's a generational thing.
Right. I mean,
Just
I don't see grandpa watching, Ninja, playing, League of Legends or, Fortnite or anything like that, but I see like me when I'm 70, or when you're that age watching that on ESPN or whatnot, just because like you said, we grew up in that environment. People that are older than us, like 60, 70-year old or older, still see gaming as a waste of time, or it's going to melt
yeah,
your brain, or it has that thing around it, that bad thing around it, that video games are bad and it's violent and that creates violence, and I'm not going to get into all of that, but
yeah.
I think like you said, it's generational, but also too is that you don't see, even now, like you don't see esports on ESPN, or you don't
Mhm.
see it having its own channel. People like you and I, we only know it based on like Twitch and YouTube. So I think in order for esports to grow, they're either going to have to branch out and get on TV or broadcast on ESPN more.
Yeah.
Do you see that happening? Like, do you see that becoming a thing, or are we still too early for that?
Well, I definitely see it becoming a thing. The question is when. When
Right.
do I see it? It's like, do I see it in the next year? Do I see it in the next 10 years? If I'm being honest, it's already happening.
True.
I don't know if you saw. I mean, you probably haven't, but the channel TBS,
Yes.
they broadcasted the Counter Strike E League tournament.
Oh, you know what? I
Like,
think I did see something about that.
yeah,
Mm,
so it's already happening. It's just not happening to the scale of what there's no esports network like there is NFL Network.
right.
There's nothing like that. So yeah, that breaks my heart too. It's so stupid how the people and just corporations are not they're still not recognizing it. There are some businesses that are just they still can't see it and stuff. It's
Right.
like I've seen like compilations on YouTube of like interviews and they're talking about esports and they're completely just straight on disrespecting it. There was this one late night show saying that like people who watch other people play video games is a waste of effing time.
Mhm.
I'm just like, dude, watching your show is a waste of time too, man. Like, what's the difference between watching esports and watching football? What's the difference between watching Call of Duty and watching basketball? You're watching other people play something that you can do as well. So do not, it's a double standard right there.
Right. I mean,
Like,
do you think that the esports players are as trained and as um do you think they go through the training and stuff as like a football player does, with the conditioning and that cuz a lot of people still don't look at that side of things as how much of a toll it takes on gaming in general, not only a casual player, but as a competitive level. So I think, you really have to respect those that are in the esports community because of the conditioning and the toll that it takes on the body and stuff like that.
yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like there's like one of my favorite Call of Duty players. His name is Zuma. Uh, he recently had to retire from Call of Duty because of a physical injury,
Mhm.
because of his thumb from playing Call of Duty and like rotating that thumb around his controller. Like he had a tendon. I believe it. Yeah, I believe it was a tendon that he had to get surgery on, and it was just too painful for him to play anymore. So like that's an instance of an esports player retiring from a physical injury.
Right.
That's something that you really only see in physical sports like football. So, do they get conditioned the same physically to the same level? No. No. There is way more physical conditioning in football and basketball than there is to esports. Now, mental wise, I think esports takes a harder toll mental wise than it does football or basketball.
Okay.
That just because of the scenes. I
Right.
would say it's like it's harder to get respect in esports than it is like football because like you don't is like we have football players getting paid millions and millions of dollars where like a Call of Duty player it's like what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a professional Call of Duty player. And then some people be like, "What?"
Right.
It's like it's like so I was at work like I have coworkers asking me like what'd you do today? And I was like, "Oh yeah, I had meetings today, stuff." And it's like, "For what?" It's like, "I'm an esports manager." You're a what manager? Esports. What's that? Some people still don't know, and
Yeah.
these are kids my age. These are kids my age that have no idea what esports is. Like they're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that, but I don't really know what it is."
Right. They
It's
see it like you said, but you just I think what they do is they just see people playing on Twitch and or, Facebook or wherever they stream and not
yeah,
realize that they're either playing an esports tournament or if they're just casually playing. I mean, I know it's in the title and I know you can probably figure it out, but just
yeah,
by looking at it, it's really hard to tell. And I really think that on a company corporate side of things, like Call of Duty, why aren't they making their own channel? Why isn't, like Epic, why aren't they having their own channel? Or, I mean, I know it takes a lot to do that, but in order to get to the next level, you have to branch out aside from Twitch, aside from YouTube. You have to
yeah.
get out there because if not, the older generation, like for example, just some facts real quick, the top esports audience by age group. So the age group that we talked about, the 55 to 65-year-old is 6%.
Right,
Is
that's expected.
Yeah,
That's so expected.
6%. So and then the 45 to the 54-year-old range is 10%. And so the 35 to 40 or 34 is 19%. The 25 to 34-year-old is 30%. And the 16 to 24-year-old age group is 32%. So you can see where that breakdown is as far as who's consuming the esports. And that is obviously, in your age group, the 16 to 24 is the highest at 32%. And it just kind of trickles off from that. But it could be because it's not as well known. Like you said, it's not out there. It's only on specific things. Like I don't see grandpa watching Twitch. I don't see it.
Yeah.
I just don't see that because it's not what he's used to.
Another thing I would have to look, if you want to pull that statistic, is another thing I would look at is compare the percentages to like NBA games. It's like, so you say like 32% are watching esports, but how much is that 32%? Is that a million? Is that 500,000? Like how
Right.
much is it? And then compare to 32% to like NFL, that's like how much is that? Is that 5 million or is it down? Is it lower? It's like you
Right.
have to actually look, like you can't. I mean, I'm not trying to bash the percentage, but like you have to go into deeper than just a percentage. Like how much is that percentage? Like what is the data? How big is like the group that they're taking the data from?
Right.
That's another thing you really have to like look into when comparing esports to mainstream.
This is very true. And also says by 2025, the number of esports and games viewers will finally hit 1 billion. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you can see the growth in that. Now, do you think that before, like, let's say COVID never happened, because we know the gaming industry really did well with COVID and with socially distancing and everyone being at home. Do you
Yeah.
think that it's where we would be today if COVID never happened? Because
Do you,
the growth of esports and gaming community in general took off in the last year and a half, 2 years because of COVID. So let's
yeah.
say it never happened. Do you think that it's where the growth would be now versus a post COVID experience?
No, but I think it would be more.
Okay.
I think it would be more just because we would have had the interaction. We would have still had lands. We would have still had events. And like because you can't deny trends. The
Right.
trend was already going up on Twitch. It was already going up on YouTube pre-COVID. And it just like so look at the trends compared from Twitch to LAN pre-COVID. They're both of them growing up, but only one of them went down. That was the LANs because we couldn't go.
Right.
Twitch was already going up. So I think Twitch would have done the exact same thing if COVID didn't happen, and we would have had lands going right with it as well. So I think it would have been more. I
Okay.
don't think it, I don't think it would have been less if COVID didn't happen. Because I see what you mean. Everyone's home.
Right.
Everyone has to be online. Um, but I think with that LAN experience, if we would have had it, I think it would have boosted it more.
So here's an interesting fact, and I keep going back to facts, but I want your input on this one. Now, this is surprising to me. A survey found that 81% of U.S. respondents are not a fan of esports. So out of 81%, that 81% is what they're saying out of who they've surveyed to get this data. 81% say they are not a fan of esports. Why do you think that is so high? I thought it would be lower, honestly. I would thought we would be like in the 20 to 30%
What do you mean
range.
like respondents? Are those like just people who are answering
The
the
answering
survey?
the survey. Yeah, they were asked a question. They're saying, do you like esports? Yes or no? And 81% of them answered no.
That's so whack. That's so stupid. I wonder
Why? Like seriously, that's crazy.
how old they were.
I don't know.
That's the thing.
It
If
doesn't
they
tell me.
if they pulled random people off the street and did that, that number is expected because we have just random people and like but I don't know how many people in the US play video games compared to like the non-players and stuff, but man, that's so stupid. Honestly, I can't really answer. I can't really answer just because I don't really know who they pulled off.
So
Now,
150 million people play video games in the US, just so you know that.
half and half, but 82% said they don't like esports.
Now that's esports, that's generalized.
This is
So but 5% saw them as avid fans and 14% say they're casual fans. So
okay.
you have that where and again, it could be the age barrier. It could be because of age.
That's what I think it is. I think it's just a generational thing.
Right.
One generation grew up with it, one generation didn't, and the one that didn't is going to bash the one that did. It's the same thing. It's like with TikTok and social media. It's like it's even with TikTok nowadays. You have like millennials that some of them don't even know how to work TikTok. Millennials
True.
that grew up with social media don't even know how to work TikTok, and like so TikTok's kind of just become a strictly Generation Z thing
Mm,
now.
right.
So it's just a generation thing. That's with anything. It's like you don't see my generation bumping 60s music all the time. But you
Right.
see but you see baby boomers bumping 60s music. That's what my dad. It's like when my dad and we go play golf, it's like I have to listen to like the 70s and 60s rock. Now it's not my type of music,
Mm,
but he enjoys it and that's his music. It's like as he would have to bear my music if I played it, because I would play 2010 music, 20 music. I would play that. So it's just a generational thing. He likes music based on what he grew up. I like music based on what I grew up.
right.
Same thing with video games. He likes the more old school video games. I like the more new school, just
Right.
because that's what we grew up with.
So how does the esports community get past that? How do they break that barrier?
I don't really say there's something they can push to break it. I would just say they just have to keep doing them.
Mm,
And as more generation comes in, as more people start, because it's gonna be recognized, it's just a matter of when.
right.
So, I wouldn't say there's, like, a specific thing that they can do to push past the barrier. I would just say I mean, unfortunately, the older generation is gonna go, and the new generation is gonna be coming in, and that new generation is gonna be the one that really puts esports on the pedestal above NBA and NFL.
Right. Do you think VR is a way to break the barrier in the
No.
esports? No,
Nope.
you don't see it.
Not one. I don't see it. I just I cannot. The only quote unquote it's not even like a VR thing, but competitive drone racing. I don't
Mhm.
know if you've seen that.
No, I have
I
not.
mean, it's not VR. Like they wear headsets that look like VR, but it's not. But do I see VR being like a big thing? It could be. I'm probably gonna be wrong on this, but right now, do I see it? Not one bit.
Gotcha. I still think in order for esports to break the barrier, they have to get on TV. If they want to get the generation older than us
Yeah.
involved or interested in gaming, it has to almost look like a baseball game, or it almost has to have that environment of a traditional sport game in order to kind of break that barrier. Because I think that would be more well known than just someone sitting there in a big room playing video games.
Could I just don't see that happening though.
No,
I would never go to like a Call of Duty event expecting baseball vibes. It's
right,
like I want to go to a COD event expecting COD vibes. I want to go to like a local LAN hearing trash talk and yelling and screaming and hyping people up and stuff. That's
right.
what I want. That's what I want to feel. So it's just traditions are meant to be broken.
Yep.
So and I mean, it's just if someone does, if like a baseball person doesn't want to go to a COD event, that's the thing. It's just like I wouldn't say breaking the barrier is converting people. I would say it's introducing new people to
True.
it.
And you also
It's
see like professional players, baseball players, football players streaming more. Like you see that more and more and more. So if someone who follows this guy because he plays baseball and now he's a streamer and now he's a professional COD player or Fortnite player professionally, that could be where
yeah,
they start to see growth too, where they follow
yeah,
somebody specifically because they know who they are. And then regardless of what they do, they follow them and see where they go.
yeah. I mean, that's what like FaZe Clan, Kyler Murray, who's the quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
FaZe Clan just recruited him.
Yep.
He's a part of FaZe now,
Right.
and like it's like you have Ben Simmons who is doing partnerships with FaZe as well. It's there are big top esports organizations that are merging. It's like the FaZe did a collab with the NFL. Like
That'd be
they did a
huge.
they already did it. They did a merch collab.
Okay.
It was yeah, it was crazy. And like we have like Optic that are doing big things. There are already big esports organizations that are working with the NFL and the NBA. It's just it's just viewership nowadays.
Right.
Esports has gotten the recognition. It has.
True.
It's gotten the recognition, it's gotten the respect by few, but it's still I still wouldn't compare it to the NFL money wise.
Right.
Um it's like I don't know numbers, but esports isn't up there, but it is trending to be bigger.
Do you think
That's just
do you think Ninja broke the barrier when he signed with Adidas?
he signed
For
with
the Yeah,
I didn't know that.
he has his own shoe. You know, he has a sponsorship with Adidas. He did like a couple years ago. You know,
Oh,
so as an esports player, I feel that he kind of broke the barrier and breaking into that the normal
uh,
traditional stuff because you don't normally see Adidas signing with a gamer. Obviously, that's never happened before until he did. So,
yeah.
and I think, like you said, the traditions are made to be broken. So, these traditional regular sports sponsorships, when they start sponsoring FaZe Clan or when they start sponsoring these Call of Duty events, that's going to be huge for esports.
Now, I wouldn't call Ninja a esports player whatsoever. I
I
would
mean, he
just
tried.
yeah, he did try. Yeah, I did. There are some what you call there are some videos back in the day of him competing at tournaments, but it's like FaZe Clan. They have like they have Nissan
Hmm.
as a sponsorship. They have a car company as a sponsorship. They have Manchester City, Verizon.
Right.
So I don't know, I mean, as I said before, they have the recognition. It's just a matter of when are they going to surpass the mainstream and when is the tradition going to be broken where instead of like people saying, "Oh, did you catch the football game last night?" where people are going to be walking around, "Oh, did you see that CS:GO event? Did you
Right.
catch that?"
Do you
Like
think
when is
the esports community will run out of players? And I say this, don't answer yet. Here's why. Here's
what?
why. Here, no, listen to me. Listen to me. Here's
What?
why. The average player, esports player, retires by the age of 25. I just read
Yeah.
that stat. So, and that's why I bring this up is that do you think that there's only much or so far esports can go because of someone retiring so young?
Oh, definitely not. Because what does that person go after? Like what did you do? What they say in the esports industry after they retire, they become a coach, they become an analyst, they become a broadcaster, they become a streamer. It's like they stay in the industry, and we
Right.
have so many young people. There is like Call of Duty is the hardest game to go pro at because there's so many people that want to become pro. There are
Right.
millions of teenagers that are trying to become pro. Millions. It's like that's why I was kind of boggled saying like, oh, like, do you think it's gonna run out of players? Most definitely not. Definitely not. It's like it's crazy how many players want to become pro because they get to play video games competitively, and they get treated like NFL players, just not paid like it.
Right. And that's
So
sad though. Like really, like they, you know, the NFL players, you know, what 25 million probably, give or take, on their
yeah,
contract, if not more.
yeah, depending on the contract. But that's the same thing with esports players. Is like you sign a contract and you have to and you have to. It's just like any other franchise. It's like the Call of Duty League. It's like you sign a contract, and that team has the rights to trade you, cut you, bench you. I mean, but if they don't do any of that, you are required to stay with that org X amount of years or
Right.
seasons. So that's the same thing with League of Legends or CS:GO. So I mean.
I don't know. I
They
mean, do you think Twitch can do better as far as
yeah,
esports goes?
definitely.
I
We
don't
need
think
to
they're
get those.
doing enough.
No, no, no. We need to get those hot tub streamers off the platform.
Don't get
Can't
me
say,
don't get me
can't,
started on that. That's a whole
can't.
another topic for another day.
I was watching your first podcast episode, and when you
Mhm.
asked her, it's like, it was like, if you're the CEO of Twitch, what was the first thing you do? And I was like, get those hot tub streamers off, ban them, gone, out. We need more gamers. I don't need bikinis.
I know, right? I mean, now do you want bikinis in esports? Is that what you're saying? Like
No,
like
no,
like in boxing and stuff like that.
no. I don't want bikinis in esports.
Oh, come on.
No, nope, want that.
So
I want to see people shooting each other
right,
virtually.
right. Yeah, virtually. So,
Yeah, I
I see a
want.
lot of esports organizations popping up. Like, I don't know if you've
Yeah.
noticed that. Like, I'm getting DM after DM almost daily. If I want to join this organization, if I want to join this org, and I look at it, and most of the time it's being started by kids. Why do you
Yeah.
think that is? Are they trying to get clout? Or are they truly trying to grow an organization?
I would say it's 50-50. Some of them are probably just doing it for clout. They just want they just want the followers, they just want the money, and I think some of them truly want to start an organization. We have so many young entrepreneurs nowadays,
Right.
myself included, and yourself included as well. And we have so many entrepreneurs nowadays, like that. I would just say just because my generation and the millennials have started realizing that they don't need a college degree anymore for
Right.
most jobs in the US at least, because like Europe and stuff, they have a whole different system. Um, but in the US, like the value of a college degree is starting to go down, which is starting to increase more entrepreneurs, which is starting to increase more esports organizations because they see esports as a booming industry, which it is.
Right.
So I would say it's 50-50. I would say, like, some kids it's like me, I started my first esports organization when I was, like yeah, when I was 13.
Hmm.
I was 13 years old. It was called TNT Gaming. That's what it was called.
I like
It
that
was
name.
yeah, it was supposed to just gonna be a, what you call it? Like a Minecraft. Uh,
Okay.
it just like a little Minecraft group, me and my friends, and then I got introduced to Call of Duty Esports, and I decided to make the team, and we had over 50 members at one point. It was crazy.
Wow.
We didn't do anything big because I was only 13 at the time, so, like, everything was new to me, esports, streaming, YouTube. I always wanted to be a YouTuber ever since I started watching YouTube. Um, so I would just say that the increase of entrepreneurial minds are going to lead esports to the top, definitely. Especially, I like how young kids are, like how like 15-year-olds are starting to get into it, like 14-year-olds are starting to get into it. I like that.
Right.
That shows potential for the future.
And that's growth. I mean, that's potential growth in the esports because you don't want it to become, like we said, we don't want it to cap out. We don't want it to peak. And I don't we're nowhere close to the peak, obviously. I mean, we're not even there yet. We're just starting the mountain. We're starting to climb that. But what's
Oh
the
yeah.
next step for esports? Like, what's the next level in your mind for
The
esports?
next, the next step, the next level. That's a good question. I would say I don't know. I don't know because we are already on TV.
Mm.
We have the money. We have crazy big events. We're selling out arenas. It's like did you watch the Fortnite World Cup?
No.
Okay, if you after this, like, look up pictures of, like, the stadium. Like, it was in New York City.
Hmm.
I f I forget which, venue it was at, but it was sold out. There were so many people at that venue. Like, you would have thought it looked like a soccer game
Sure.
for how many people were there. Like,
So
d
really
d
now,
d
since everything's loosened up with the COVID stuff,
yeah.
you're gonna see more of these events pop up. Obviously, probably this summer, maybe in the fall, maybe next year this time.
Yeah.
that could be a huge growth, obviously, because then, like you said, people can actually finally get together again, and we can have these we can have these tournaments, and we can have these live events that can be broadcast. Because
Oh yeah.
doing it virtually with no fans on TV is boring. I mean, obviously, but if you get a stadium like a Super Bowl stadium filled to the max with millions of people watching, and you can hear the fans, that really pumps up the people watching it at home too.
Oh
So
yeah.
that really could be our next level here. I mean, really, I mean, like you said, it's already started with filling stadiums, and we're getting these stadiums, and we're worldwide, not just in the U.S. but worldwide.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and the sponsorships, they're coming, and like they had a 52% increase in esports investments by big brands.
Oh yeah.
So the big brands are recognizing it, and they're seeing the potential, and they're
Yeah.
seeing what they can do.
It's great. It's like we have like big names. It's like Drake invested in 100 Thieves.
Mm.
It's like so that like I'm a 100 Thieves fan. So when I saw that, like I got pumped up. It's like we have so many names. It's like I think like which Jeff Bezos is looking to invest. I think in a in a COD team. I think so. And we have Gary V, who is he may be the owner or he's a part owner of the Minnesota Rocker
Right.
for Call of Duty League. But Gary V, that's crazy.
It
So
is.
we have so many big names, and I think Kevin Durant. Um, I think he invested in a team in an esports team. I think let me look it up. I think he did.
So do you think that regular sports will help esports grow as you see these like you said, these players are already investing in esports. So what of the organizations like, the New York Giants or the Yankees? What if they branch out and have their own esports? What if they have their own teams? You can really
Uh,
see a growth there.
That stuff is happening.
Mm,
I think the Milwaukee Bucks, they have a competitive NBA 2K team.
okay. We didn't
They
even
own that.
touch base on that. We didn't even talk
Oh yeah,
about that yet.
that's happening.
Of
All
how
that stuff is happening.
huge the sports like NBA and MLB and
Yeah,
Madden. Look at all the Madden tournaments that they have
yeah,
competitively. I mean, it's huge.
yeah. And then you have rap artists that are coming out to those events and competing in them. We have
Mm.
like actual football players that are coming out and competing in those like the Madden tournaments and stuff. All that stuff is happening. It's crazy. It's absolutely it's phenomenal in my eyes, and that's why I really couldn't answer your question saying like what could we do to increase? I'm like I don't really see anything that we can increase right now because we're kind of booming right now.
Right, right. Let's talk about Esports Hall of Fame.
Oh,
You
well,
imagine you imagine going to a Hall of Fame for esports, just like you
yeah,
would baseball, football. I mean, that's already
that'd
something
be
that they've developed and starting to develop right now. I'm reading a little article on it,
crazy.
and it's a new concept, obviously, but allows esports players to view and interact with famous players. It is in fact it exists and provides long performing gamers with one-on-one induction into their community and their fans. It may not be huge or and more significant attraction than others, but it does serve its purpose. So, I mean, we're already seeing these. So, really 20, 30 years from now, the regular sports as we know it may not exist. It could be all esports.
I wouldn't say it wouldn't exist.
It won't be
I
as
would
what it is now.
No, it won't. It definitely will not. But it's like we still have kids that are in middle school wanting to play in the NFL, the NBA, NHL, MLB. It's like we still have like little kids wanting to do that, and we still have like little kids that want to be professional esports players.
Right.
It's like the stigma of wanting to grow up and be pro this, pro that is starting to they're starting to be like the same. It's like as I would say that we have the same amount of kids. It's like some colleges and some high schools, even some middle schools are starting to develop school esports teams.
Yep. Yep.
So
The college that I'm in has an esports team. I'm actually in college. and they have an
Yeah.
esports team.
It's crazy. It's nuts. So it's like we have like the stigma is starting to balance out as like where we have like the same amount of kids who want to be in esports are the same amount of kids who want to be in traditional sports. I would
Right.
say that that's starting to balance out and stuff.
But what if VR, like let's bring VR back up. If you had the option to do a VR football versus the traditional football, a lot of people are going to choose VR because it's safer. You're not going to get a concussion.
Yeah.
So, what if down the road we started seeing that evolve from a traditional, football game to all VR. And then
I
it
don't know.
turns, I mean, really, I think that's coming.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Like I would say it's gonna be at least a decade
Well,
before that.
the reason why I bring
Well,
that up is because I think that you're gonna if given a child like my son, for example, if I ask my son right now if you would rather play football traditionally or have the opportunity to do it VR and can do it anywhere in the world, they're gonna choose VR because it's safer and
yeah.
you can do it anywhere, you can go to anything, you can, and you can compete at a high level doing it that
Yeah.
way. So I think, maybe not soon, but down the road, you're going to see that decline in people wanting to play the traditional sports because they have the other outlets that are safer or better for the body.
I can see that. I mean, I get where you're coming from. It's like me personally, I would rather play actual football
Hmm.
than VR, just because I mean, like this was like me. Like I grew up with football.
Right.
So it's like I didn't grow up with like VR football. So I would this is like when a generational debate would come back into play in the future.
Yes.
So that's what I would see. But that esports Hall of Fame thing, that's I like that.
That's a great
Wow.
idea. I mean,
That's
that's huge, I think.
that's crazy actually.
S-
They should do like the ballots. How they do for like NFL and
Oh,
stuff. Like
yeah.
for yeah,
What
that'd be
about a
awesome.
draft? Could you imagine having these sports organizations like Phase and all of them having a draft like MLB, like NFL, where these players are actually drafted for this team? I mean, they kind of are now, I guess, but they're not publicized like they would as a football draft would
Yeah.
be. I think that would definitely help grow
It would be
esports.
cool. It would definitely it would be cool. It would just be very difficult because there's only 4 players on the main roster for a COD team.
Right.
There's only 5 players on a roster for a CS:GO team. So, and there's probably only like maybe 2 or 3 subs per team, and then you have the coach.
Yep.
So it would be a little it would be difficult. I mean, they could do that for like say like academy teams. Because I know that some esports have like they have like their main team and then they have like an academy team. I
Mhm.
know 100 Thieves have that for their League of Legends, just in case like so they have their main team, then they have subs, and then they have like an academy team where they can move people from that team up to the main team if they want. So they could do that. That could be more of a like traditional feel. It's like they're the NBA's doing that.
Yep.
So like the NBA, like they have their teams, and then they have the G League. People can try out for a G League, and then like say the Lakers want to sign someone from a G League team, they can move them up.
Right.
So
Right.
that I mean, that's already happening. It's nuts. Like we're saying all this stuff, and then like I'm kind of realizing this all this stuff is already happening.
It's already it's not on a huge level as what see it in traditional sports, but behind the scenes it's happening. Players are getting traded and players are going to this team and they're going to that team, but you don't hear about it. So you know communication obviously is key to anything, right? I mean, if you want people to know about it, you have to be able to communicate. I think sometimes these organizations aren't as transparent when it
Yeah,
comes with doing things, like they don't want to share their secrets, I guess. But you know, if you want to, like me, from the outside looking in, because I'm not a part of the esports world, if I want to know more about it, you have to be transparent. You have to know what's going on the backside of things, because you don't know unless you're in it. You don't know what's actually going on.
Yeah. That
So
it's that's the biggest thing. I try to be upfront. And sometimes I'm a little kind of too upfront because I hate sugarcoating things.
right,
Um, it's like I'm the type of guys if I got something to say, I'll say it. Um, so that's the biggest thing. Is like communication is big with anything. It's like with my boys on the CS team. I always tell them it's like make sure to talk to me if something's happening. If you guys can't make it at practice, like please DM me, please let us know. Even type in the chat. Um, I always talk with my management. I mean, like my management, they're good people. They bust their tails. They make sure that Aero is working properly. I bust my tail. It's like I worked so hard. I got my CS team. I joined. Yeah, I got my CS team less than 2 weeks. Then I since I joined Aero.
okay.
Like I joined, and then less than 2 weeks I had a CS team.
Nice.
And already practicing, already working, and everything like that. We had to switch members because our IGL ended up leaving a day before we were supposed to play in the open qualifier.
Oh
That
no.
kind of yeah, that sucked. But now we have a new IGL, and we switched IGLs to this one guy, and now we have a new rifler. So we have our 5 stack already. We're hopefully going to be playing in ESCA season 38 in August. Going to be competing in that. So and yeah, I mean Aero, we have big things coming with esports. I don't know if I can say too much. Um,
Well,
but
let's talk about Arrow for a little bit. Like, where does it stand in the esports world?
so Aero, it got established in 2015, but they did like some rebranding recently last year. I think like October last year. I don't know for sure. Um, But so where we stand in esports, we have I don't know. So I think I can say I'm trying to think what I can say and what I cannot. If someone's in Arrow, if someone is in Arrow in the chat, say what's up. Um, but so yeah, we have a CS team. We're working on a Gears of War team, and we have a Rainbow Six team. We have another team in the works. I don't know if I can say that, so I'm not going to. But we have those teams right now. I would say the team that we're probably going to be competing in first is probably going to be the CS team
Okay.
right now, just because we have plans in the future, and we might be competing in like tournaments during the summer. So we have that going. But
So, as a gamer, how good do you have to be on esports? Do you have to be like a super good player to compete, or
oh yeah,
can you be like average?
wait, you can't be average.
Okay.
You can't. That
Dang.
that's why I failed when I competed in CS:GO. Like I played Call of Duty for 4 years. I had semi success in that. And then when I took a break and switched to Counter-Strike, I was an average Joe trying to play in ESCA matches. That just didn't work.
Right.
I went quintuple negative every single match. I
Wow.
went I I went like probably 2-30 every single match. Like I was the average Joe playing against top tier people.
Right.
Like you have to be good. It's like that's why like my boys we practice we practice 5 nights a week. Work on utility like we watch VODs, we practice, we play games and stuff. It's like you have to be the best of the best to
Right.
play.
It's almost like taking someone off the street and saying, "Okay, today you're going to run the New England Patriots offense."
Yeah.
I
It's like
mean, you're not going to
it's
do
just
it. You're going to fail.
yeah, it's just not gonna work. That's why like it's you have to love the game. That's why I see so many like young people. It's like there's a kid my age, 19 years old, who's playing for the LA Thieves right now and in the Call of Duty League. He's my age, but like he's on that top tier level because he grew up with the game just having fun with it.
Right.
And like so he loved the game and he had so much fun that he played every single day and he became so good that he can play on the pro level now.
Right.
So you have to have the dedication, you have to have fun with it, and so, but like you can't just be a casual player playing in a competitive game.
So let's
That's why there's a difference.
so let's talk about age. You know, can someone be too old to compete in esports? I mean, you don't see that very often. Like, you don't see older people, like older people. I'm talking my age. Like, I'm 35. You know,
Yeah.
so people my age or older, you don't really see them competing that much in esports. Do you think there's a reason for that?
Life.
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
say, I would just say life. It's like I know one. I mean, it could. I would just say life, injury, family gets sick, um, like, or maybe like you have like you get a family of your own or something like that. But that's starting to become not the problem really anymore. I know, like me when I was like 15. That was kind of like the big thing. It's like you get a family and then you kind of just retire from competitive video games. You stay in the industry, but you don't competitively play anymore because you have to put in hours upon hours upon hours to make it and consistently play good in the industry. So I just I would just say life, if
Do
I'm
you
being
think
honest.
someone older can compete though? Like, let's say they didn't have any family. Let's say they, you know, didn't have anything to hold them back. Can you see as someone older, like my age or older, compete competitively in esports, or do you feel that it's more for people your age, at a younger generation, due
I
to age?
don't want I don't want to put an age limit on it. The only limit I would put on it is probably like 18 up, just because some games are mature
Right.
and like legally you have to be 17 and stuff like that. Um, so it's like I know like the Call of Duty League, you have to be 18 or older to play. But like I can see like a 40-year old playing on a CS:GO team. I can. I mean, it's like heck, dude, like I work with a 33-year-old. And like I work with a 33-year-old and I also work with a 15-year-old at my job.
Okay.
It's like we have that thing, but we all work together.
Right.
So I don't want to put that on there and stuff. It's like we have like Tom Brady. He's like what 44 years old.
Yes.
He's still playing with 20-year olds.
Right.
It's like I would say if you're still good and you still have that top peak tip top performance, play. I don't care.
But you have to take care of yourself too. Even as an esports player, you have to condition yourself. You have to take care of your body and you have
Yeah.
to be fit. I would say you have to be fit, you know,
Yeah.
because if not, you're not going to be able to compete at a high level and be able to, because it is very, oh, it's very stressful on yourself mentally, physically, just to be able to compete. And I think that's why you see in the esports industry that people just quit doing it because it is such a high stress environment.
It can be definitely. It's like I've there's a stutter. I've left see like video games multiple times just because of life stress, freaking out, panic, don't really know what to do. Um, but I've always came back, and like I've kind of realized that every time I've came back is like I really enjoy this. Like I don't know why I keep leaving.
Right.
I really do enjoy this. It's probably the only thing. It's like I tweeted out saying that like Counter Strike is probably the only game that I can get super bored of and frustrated with one night, and then wake up the next morning eager to play it again. Like that is the one game. Like I finally found the one game that I hate at night and I love it again in the morning.
Right. I can relate with because I play Fortnite. That's usually the game that I play. I don't know
Yeah,
why. I've become attached to that game. It's a love hate relationship, and I know
yeah,
exactly what you mean because I'll hate it one day and then I'll play it the next day just because I enjoy it. I enjoy playing it. I enjoy the community around that game. I think that's big too. Is that not only the game itself is fun, but the relatability and you can connect with other people based on the game that you play.
yeah. That's one thing. Like CS:GO, it's known to be very toxic. If I'm
Hmm.
being honest, there is a lot of like smack talkers, and there is a stigma that North American players are garbage compared to Europe players, which is true in some sense. But that's one thing I love about the game. I love the banter. I love the smack talk in games, like queuing up with random people and then just talking smack.
Right.
And it's like I have one of my childhood friends. His name's Zach. Him and I've been friends since 6th grade. Him and I play CS:GO almost every day. And even though I'm one of the worst players, like I am borderline garbage, I do have my good games. Even though like I am bottom fragging most of the time, bottom of the leaderboard, worst in the game, I talk the most.
Okay. Yeah.
I absolutely talk the most. It's like I will get a 4K, which is like a quad kill.
Okay.
I will be bottom of the leaderboard, and then I'll get a 4K, and I will just talk the absolute biggest smack in the world. It's and like then my friend Zach, he has to humble me, be like, Wilson, or Fade, you're at the bottom.
Right.
Be quiet. It's like,
Right. Yeah. I mean, you gotta think of it that way. So I want to touch real quick on mobile esports because we haven't talked about this at all.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a thing? Because it's starting to grow. Like mobile esports is becoming a thing. Like FaZe Clan already has a team for mobile esports. Do you think that you will continue to see that get bigger as mobile devices become better?
I hate to say it, but yeah.
You know, because
I
really, I mean, look at where we're at with the mobile devices we have today. You know,
yeah.
they run games as well, sometimes I think better than a console or PC. You know, just because they're that good. You know, 5 years ago we couldn't do that, but
And you can connect like an Xbox or PS4 controller to the
yes,
phones now. That's
right,
crazy.
yeah. So, do you really need a mobile? Do you really need a console? Do you really need a PC? I mean, really, you have to start thinking of it that way. You have your
I would
phone or iPad or whatever it is. You can use it as a console. Why do we need these other consoles?
I would I'm not a fan of mobile games, if I'm being honest with you, but I do see them being big in the future. I
Right.
really do. Um,
And I don't know if it's a generational thing, but like for me, I still think mobile games is like
so
Candy
I
Crush.